Good evening, everyone. Welcome here. We are in France, we are in Le Mans, and we are here for the grand finale. For the grand finale of the half season of our first attempt at Le Mans Ultimate. We are here as I said, in Le Mans to end the LMU Nitro Concepts Pro Series Season 0.5. And there are a couple of chances for some drivers in both Hypercar and GT3, but I'm Chris Romano, and for tonight I'll be your voice for the next 2 hours plus qualifying, which is another 15 minutes. But where are we? As I said, we are at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and it's a bit of a famous track for some obvious reasons. The track has an immense history. It actually it was born as an endurance track since 1923. This track is in action, but at the very first moments this track was effectively a triangle, a 17 kilometers long triangle, and then with the time that passed, the track had always an evolution towards either better racecraft, safety in general, considering this track was pretty deadly prior to 1962, somewhere around there. But as I said, this track is more than 100 years old, and the most, I will say, the most famous point of this track was unfortunately the 1955 tragedy, which happened in back in the days in the straight close to the grandstands, and then after that there was a ban to motor racing in general in Switzerland as a consequence of that. And it was still in place, and I think it's still in place, except for Formula E, which is not considered a motor race for some reasons, which is slightly funny. But the time passed, the track became more safe, and effectively, it slowly became what we know now, with the Mulsanne straight. It was early on a single straight, more than 2 kilometers long. But with the reliability of the engines and with the FIA effectively coming as a bit of a wall into declaring that a main straight couldn't be longer than 2 kilometers, with the Duttigehoe in the Nürburgring being slightly on the limits of that. But to be accepted, the track can't have a more than 2 kilometers long straight, and that's why also 2 chicanes were applied in exactly. I think it's, can't remember the turn exactly. I mean, I remember the name, but I can't remember the number of the chicane. But anyway, it was Chicane Daytona, which is now called Chicane Daytona because of the partnership with the Daytona racetrack, which also has the Le Mans chicane, and the Chicane Michelin, which is the second one, but the whole straight early on was a single straight, it was Mulsanne straight. But enough about this. I think you all know. Oh, the Dunlop Bridge. Also, little trivia. The Dunlop Bridge. I think it's the last time Dunlop Bridge will effectively be the Dunlop Bridge, because now it's going to be the Michelin Bridge, which is not great in my mind. But I understand it's mainly for sponsorship reasons, and Dunlop is now Goodyear. But anyway, as I said, indeed, 102 years old racetrack, and greetings, Ace Coast Dave, welcome. And the track currently holds primarily the traffic in France, in the outskirts of Le Mans, but also the only race that takes place here, which is the 24-hour Le Mans. And if you want to accept it as a different race, the Le Mans Classic. Which has been held since 2002, with a couple of editions being skipped. The inner circuit is actually more used. The inner circuit, which was created for motorbike racing, is a bit more used. The Bugatti circuit, grade 2, so Formula 1 can't be hosted here. But a major series is actually held here at the Bugatti circuit, which is MotoGP, a Grand Prix motorcycle racing that has been here since 1969 with a couple of editions and some gaps since then. But since 2000, it has been held constantly for the past 25 effectively, with this being the 26th years. But also the FIM EWC, which is the 24 hours of Le Mans, but for motorbikes since 1978, and the ATRC, which is the 24 hours for trucks, and then there is also the Sidecar World Championship that is being held here, with also the SBK that had literally 2 rounds here, same for DTM and for F3000. Now, I think, which is already something incredible, no, I can't think because RaceLab is not active, so I can't actually go into why do we have to? How funny. Really? How funny. Everything stopped working for a moment. Here it is. Give me my overlay. Just a couple of seconds as I activate start layout. Just need to go into here. As I said, this is the finale, and since it's the finale, I think it's a good idea to show you the standings, the current standings, because this is a priced championship, and there are some important prizes in the podium. It's hosted here with the hypercar, podium that still has to be decided in one way or another. There is a drop round, but essentially everything is still on the line, and there is still something that has to be declared, at least in hypercar. In GT3 it's a bit easier to understand the situation, mainly because it's just a battle between first and second for the top spot in the podium with David Naskitashvili and Clemens Schnitzel, although Naskitashvili effectively needs to DNF completely and Schnitzel needs to win to be at the top spot of the podium, with Marine Bessier currently third and Joseph Kuffel currently in fourth, but without much distance from the Frenchman. Give me back the podium. In the meantime, that I join practice. As I said earlier, this is a prize championship, and these are the prizes, because whoever arrives in first receives a €500 voucher for Trustmaster, and that's for both classes. Then we've got a Legend Gaming Chair Silver Edition from Noble Chairs for whoever goes home with a silver medal. And then at the lower spot of the podium, there is an Immersion Wind Bundle from Nitro Concepts. Okay, this is working, which is something I wasn't completely safe. I just need my broadcast, otherwise I can't broadcast anything. Give me that. Oh, you're not watching, obviously. Just give me a second. As I said earlier, by the way, in the meantime that everything gets loaded, in Hypercar, it's practically extremely, I think I correct what is volatile, mainly because Fabian Roth, Robin Dichand and Lucas Seder are both, all of them are actually, all three of them are actually on a chance to be at the top spot of the championship. So everything is still on the line, and there isn't a clear view of who could be the winner and who will be the chaser. In any case, I think, unfortunately, with a single monitor, sometimes I struggle to go live. And this is working, but not the browser. We just need to refresh, or maybe not. For some reason, my layout. Okay, now it's working. It just needed a couple of seconds. So everything is working. And to the left side, there is the usual tower with everything you need in qualifying. Just a quick preview, which is not the case, but practicing qualifying is basically the same. But in qualifying, you will see the interval between cars and the gap from the leader, the fastest lap, which is the purple lap, and the various flags, which are the pit lane and whoever. Well, it's just a pit lane, to be fair. And in the race, you will see. Oh, it's wait, it's not dark. I want the dark. Oh, because it's qualifying in the dark. Okay. I think everything is correct. If you hear me all tabbing, it's because I have roughly 20,000 tabs open just to stream everything. Unfortunately, there is a single car still on track, and you are waiting for them. But as you can see, it's cloudy, and cloudy is a bit of another statement, because it's highly likely that it will rain. Rain is plausible, and if so, we are going to have a rain race. There is a 45% chance of rain. So realistically, in the 2 hours long race, there could be more to be said. Although now there is the sun shining, so that doesn't really apply. I think the first car out on track will be... let me see. I think it's going to be Gilhead. Sven Gilhead here. As you can see on left side for now. No, maybe not. Remember that in qualifying, you can't see any other car. So the only car that you can see is the one on track, and nobody can say that somebody else was ahead, impeding, which is very useful for, especially for high importance races, particularly like iRacing, where the qualifying attempt is on a solo track. I would like to show you the onboard, but for some odd reasons I can't. I literally cannot. This is not the car I wanted to show you. So we will just be on a track. Let me see if I can do something cheeky. Let me try. So this should actually work. It's a bit improvised. Haha, you can see that. It's the speed. Just to give you an idea of the difference in speed, especially between GT3s and hypercars. Probably if you're following this series, you know what hypercars and GT3s are, but hypercars are bespoke prototypes built from a chassis, usually an LMP2 chassis, whilst in some cases, especially in the effectively in the LMDH case, it's an LMP2 chassis. In the LMH can be bespoke, and that's Harry Gamble going straight at the second chicane, the Michelin chicane. Whilst the GT3s come from an effective car that has to be road legal in production, and then aerodynamically it's completely different from the road version. That's okay. The only car that I took was the one going in the pits for some odd reasons. So speaking of which, we'll go to the GT3s. As you can see here, this is Aston Martin with beautiful colors. And I think these are... Well, these are, speaking of which, the new colors in LFM cars. But I think in this case it's just a bit of a coincidence. To be sure, will be our guinea pig. 272, 273, 74, 75, 75. Possibly the high speed for this Aston Martin here. And as you can see, something is wrong with my graphics, because the sun is shining, but wipers are on. So I wonder if it's raining with the sun on, and I wonder if it's actually a problem of mine that I can't see the rain, which at this point it's plausible. And it would... oh, that's a gravel! Oh, that's a 503 out on the gravel, but luckily this is just the first lap for them, for Biasug. As I was saying, this could actually be the reason for Gumball, for him to send himself into the pits. The qualifying session will last another 11 minutes. In 15 minutes time, a lap around here for the hypercars is on 3 minutes and 20 seconds, roughly. Whilst for GT3s, it is around 4 minutes, something like that, depending on the BOP and the grip. But in this case, it is wet, so I expect something around 3:32 in hypercar, and for the 15. No, that's too much. No, maybe not. 3:42 is possible for hypercar, but I think 4:10 for GT3s is likely. Mainly because in wet conditions, GT cars have a better time in the wet compared to the hypercars. I'm not really basing myself on the record for the track. That's because the track record is currently a 3:17.2, and that was put on by Mike Conway back in 2019, where it was still... this chair really needs some WD-40. Back in the days where it was still LMP1, but we saw we'll start the lap for us, the curve, and the same goes on for Fabian Hannes. Okay, that's Fanestich. I think it's correct. I'm quite sure that for some reasons my rain is not active, and I have no idea why. I legitimately don't know the reason for this. The rain is obviously active, I can show you, just to be safe. But I can't, apparently. Trust me, it is on. Unless something is missing here. I don't think so. Okay, I just noticed there was some white noise in the background, and now it's not there anymore. So, yay, I guess. Something has been resolved. Yeah, okay, there is not a white noise anymore. Sorry if you were hearing that, but I just noticed, as I said, and should be all right now, except for the rain. Unfortunately, I can't really do anything about it. Kobe-chan on top with a 344, so apparently the rain is way worse than expected, as Arda Erkan sits now in the top spot. Number 4, BMW. Ahead of the 2 Astons, the 2 Valkyrie with Daniel Goschal now in 3rd place. Alex Siebel is in 4th, Jonas Vanner in 5th place, and Sven Gilhead in 6th place. As you can see, it's a bit of a dominance from a single team, which I have to manually pick, unfortunately, because compared to ACC, I don't really have the team name in the lobbies. I have to search manually for Falcon Sim Racing Team. Okay, that was pretty easy. I could have guessed that. So yeah, Falcon Racing there with... Oh, that's the rain, finally. I can see some clouds, so maybe just now the game recognized the fact that it is raining, even for me. But Arda Erkan, Alex Siebel, Mickey Hoyer now in 5th place. Jonas Vanner and Sven Gilhead, all of them working for the same team. For the Falcon Sim Racing team. And in GT3, as another car actually jumps in 4th, that's Eric Gambal, the number 8, now in 4th place. In GT3, as I was saying, as another car goes into the hypercar field, that's Marco Bischoff, Gambal's teammate, and Deschamps, Romy Deschamps now in 5th for Fischer Racing. As another car goes there, that's Moritz Zurich, the other Fischer Racing Cadillac. For now, the top 10 only represented by BMW, Cadillac, and Aston. As I was trying to say, in GT3 we've got the Nitro concept Lamborghini Huracan, the Evo 2 with Niklas Huben driving it, and now into an outlap about 4:13. Actually, I was pretty close to what I was said in GT3. 3:44, that's very slow, 24 seconds slower than the usual, and only 10, only 13 actually, for the GTPs. Marie Messier, second for now in the Lexus. The Porsche in aero names colors for Joseph Hiffel is 6/10 away from Messier, and a total of 1.9 seconds from the top spot, with Manuel Fuchs and Clemens Kittel battling here for Fischer Racing in 5th only. And remember, Kittel is one of the cars and drivers that has to greatly win to have a chance at a championship run. And still 3 minutes and a half to go, and a lot is on the line. Unfortunately, something I have to criticize here in the Man's Ultimate compared to something like ACC, as the rain finally appears, is that I can't really know anything about the lap that is being put on place. So that is so cool to be seeing the brakes glowing, or how much power they're putting through. Effectively, you really need a lot of closed ducts in the brakes, because, well, you've got Alpha racetrack in which you don't brake except for the chicanes, and then you have half of it in which it's very technical, especially here at the Porsche curves, and then into the 4 chicane, that you really have to be precise and throw the car, but not too much, otherwise you might end up into the wall. As Hoyer, Mickey Hoyer now in position number 8. Unfortunately, the number on the left is completely useless now that I look at it, because Hoyer has the 44 on the side, and that's not really helpful. So it's probably something that has to be worked out for next season. Maybe obliging the drivers to pick the same number. Although I think Huber has the 21. No, that's 22. So yeah, I can just get rid of it. I will do so for the race. Bessier is still in the pits, and with a minute and 46, both Bessier and Fuchs, and many others to be fair, because Arda Erkan is in the pits, 4 times ahead of Chan, and another nearly 3 times ahead, another 3 times ahead of Goshalk, for a total of 7. This was, I think, oh, yeah, this was Sidruk, jumping into 7th place. Let me just get rid of it now, because at this point it is completely useless to look at the numbers. If only I could find them, which I don't think I can. I mean, probably it's there somewhere. Me. Unfortunately, I can't find the numbers. I will do it later, maybe in the break between sessions. So the entirety of the hypercar field, apart from Hoye, Stiebel and Bischoff, have their lap written on stone. Kobe-chan is currently on an out lap, and with 14 seconds to go, I really doubt Chan will be able to set another lap. Although, Girohead, Girohead actually is another car that could, just at the very final moments, put the car a bit upper into the grid. In the GT field, Niklas Huben currently first in Interconcepts Huracan. He has a second point two of advantage over Bessier, with Kiffel sailing third and Fuchs and Kitzel following in the top 5. Okay. There was still some white noise, which I didn't notice. Clement Hitz, as I was saying, 5th, with René Feld in 6th, in the other Fish Racing Lamborghini, with Mark Sidruk in the Lexus, David Rancagno in the pits, with Alvaro Inkausti in 9th, Shepetov in 10th place, with Schwartz 11th, Fanestic in 12th, Kutz in 13th at the moment, in the EMG with a very pale purple color. Then we've got Baldig in 14th place in the Porsche. In I think that's in Grello colors. Huh? Yes, it is. Tobias Hogg 15th, 16th for Sasha Lamprecht. Naskidashvili without a car. Remember, Naskidashvili to have a chance at not losing the championship has to DNF. So the fact that he is present means that he will at least score points, although the car is not loaded yet, and he will start in 17th with Julian Winkup in 18th place. Gearhead remains the last hypercar to still try something different. All the other didn't manage to improve. And for now, that's your car here, which unfortunately is only 12, 3.8 seconds away from pole. As another car goes into the pits, that's Kitzel, which hasn't been able to improve. As always, if there is something you want to know or simply criticize because it's not working properly, just let me know, because I have the chat here close to me. Possibly when the race will eventually start, the action will also be more. But remember, 2 hours long race for us all. With the Kilohead in number 44. Oh, going slightly off the track, but will it be enough to set at least an improvement for the position? Because any improvement that is not a position is completely useless. The Falcon Sim Racing team, that's across the line to... Okay, that's certainly an improvement. Sven Gill had 4th place, less than a second behind his teammate in first, but in second row nevertheless, so that's a good one. Niklas Huben will cross the line, will remain in pole, but will improve, and the answer is yes. That's 12.1. The track clearly improved as the time passed by, and the question arises, possibly Bessier could have had a chance. Kurtz now coming close to the line as Baldig set the final time. That's Kurtz that improves 12th place with a 4:19.6, and so that's only Baldig on track, and that's Gidashvili. And that's Gidashvili 4th place just now on the line. So definitely a good result for the Mustang driver, which is not currently shown, but it will in the next session. And so this is it for our grid. This is the nearly complete grid, as you can't see a couple of numbers. Just need some time because the standings and the grid has to be set. In the meantime, I will try to find my numbers because they are absolutely useless right now. Just need to find it, which is okay, found it. It was literally the easiest thing in the world to find. Unfortunately, as I said, the numbers are completely useless. Possibly something can be worked on for next season, which will be a full season, by the way. And I'll be honest, I might join a couple of races and scrub some dust off my G29. Going back to the racetrack, who knows? As for now, in the grid, 12 cars long grid in Hypercar, 18 in GT3, for a total of 30 cars. Jonas Vander will be in 12th place, 2.9 seconds away from pole, but considering it was raining, it's a bit difficult to be sure about everything. Only some seconds. Okay, that's 80 seconds time to get on the grid with the yellow pits that will eventually be dropped. Let me try something, because now that the number is not there anymore, I can do something better. So let me just raise this one a bit to like here, to even. Let me just. Oh, wait. Can I do this? Aha, way better. So now things can be seen a bit more easily. Okay. Let's see if also the grid is well, with only 23 seconds to go. I don't think I have the time to show you the qualifying grid. So for now, we'll go like this as Erkan. Still 15 seconds away. Okay, now on the grid, we'll start in pole position. Kubican alongside. Then we've got Gorschalk, Gilhead, Ulrich, Gambal with Sibel in 7th and Deschant in 8th. Sider in 9th, Hoye in 10th, Marco Bischoff and Jonas Vanner will be in 12th and the last place on the grid in Hypercar. Then Niklas Huben in pole with Marin Bessier alongside Josef Küffel in 3rd, Nanskidashvili in 4th, championship contender Fuchs, then Kitzel in 6th, Felder, Sidruk in row number 4, Rancagno and Inkausti in row number 5, Schwartz and Kutz row number 6, Shepetov, Fanesik, Waldig, Laprecht, Hogue, and then Winkup, completing your 30 cars grid. But now, okay, we're actually still far away, so I could have actually gone slower. In Hypercar there isn't much diversity. It's only Cadillacs and Aston Martins and BMWs, with only 2 Aston Martins, so it's not even that much diversity either. With effectively 4 teams only. We've got Falcon, we've got Nitro Concepts, we've got the 2 Aston Martins, which I have to pick up now the team name, which I just forgot. And then we've got the 3 actually purple cars there. I have to pick the Hypercars. As Visceral Esports is alongside Falcon Sim Racing Team with Nitro Concepts and Fisher Racing in the middle of the pack. But now, for the final time this season, this is going to be the green flag, and with that we will start for the last time this half season the race. Nearly there for the very start. And it's green flag, and it's green light, and away we go. It was a very good start actually by the BMW behind. I think that was Sven Gilhead. In fact, he is already in second place with Kobe Chan that has to remain in the middle of a free-wide situation. Oh, there's contact. Oh, there's much contact between the 2 cars. Actually, among the 3 cars, with one of the BMWs cutting the chicane completely. Oh, that was very wide for Henry Gambal, who lost the position on one of the Aston Martin before cutting back on the racing line and colliding a lot with the Aston Martin, which is now in position number 4, and that is Daniel Goschalk, who can't really keep the car straight, nearly sideways for the number 44 there in Daniel Goschalk's driver, with Kobe Chan now in 5th place, 3 positions down since the very start of the race. Alex Siebel remains in 6th behind, and then there is a possible overtake between Deshan and Ulrich, with Ulrich in 7th, defending the position against his teammate, which is not really going to be long. Meanwhile, Kobe Chan in 4th place, the overtake just happened, and in the backyard, that was a change for position between the 2 Fisher Racing. Oh, there's a contact. There's a contact between the Falcon and the Fisher Racing with the 127. That's Robin Deschamps cutting the chicane. Lucas Cedar had to slow down, and that's the overtake between Mickey Hoyer and Cedar, who is now in 10th place. Behind, there is much more happening. David Nasgidashvili is now in 1st place. Okay, that's Italian. Never mind, because Marie Messier is now. Oh, there's a car into the wall, and that's a Mercedes into the wall. I couldn't pinpoint who that car was, but this is the battle for the lead. That was at the Jake Aitken situation, unfortunately for the Mercedes-Benz. Nasgida really battling with Marie Messier, who will be ahead of the other, and the answer is the Lexus. Lexus ahead of Nasgida. Sidruk also overtaking Kufel behind, and that's Kufel in 4th place now with Kitzel in 5th. Oh, that's contact between Felder and Fuchs with 2 teammates that collided for a brief moment, and that's the BMW M4 overtaking Rini Felder with Kufel now about there. Nasgida is still, oh, that's not Nasgida on the outside. It's a bit difficult, and matter of fact, it doesn't happen. The overtake doesn't happen there, but behind Joseph Kufel on the inside could actually make the defensive action worthy, as the Porsche is still trying on the outside. Marie Messier still trying to defend, but this time the Mustang had a way better exit out of the right-hander, and the Lexus is now in 2nd, and David Nasgida now 1st ahead of Messier. Behind, that's the Porsche of Joseph Kufel still alongside, and it is still close, but still for the lead. Marie Messier trying on the outside of Indianapolis. That's absurd. It's a perfect move for the French driver on the outside of Indianapolis. A very nice move there. A bit wide on the consequent corner. And Nasgida is still on the outside, thinking about it. A cutback can happen and does happen, and that's the move for Najiro back on the top of the grid. But this actually ruined their run against Mark Ziruk, who it is quite clear that will remain in third for now. Joseph Kiffel didn't have enough, and not even that. But now Clemens Kitzel could actually jump ahead. There is a good chance for them, and Manuel Fuchs cut the gap, and Rennefelder effectively being a bit slow compared to at least David Rancagno, who is glued to the rear bumper and could actually make a move in the upcoming seconds. Bit slow out of the Porsche curves into the first chicane. It is quite clear that it will remain on top. Meanwhile, Kobe-chan just set the overtake on Arda Erkan, who was starting at the top spot and now sits in fourth place only. Harry Gambal now leading the races, Vin Gilhead in second, Kobe-chan in third place, Arda Erkan. Beautiful qualifying session, terrible race for now. The Mercedes from early on, by the way, I think it was Jonas Schuart. Just give a quick look. It was Jonas Schuart, unfortunately, in the wall. Oh, there's another cut-off! That's Julian Winkup into the gravel. And now back on the racing surface. Battle for the lead still goes on here. Slightly ahead, but it's likely a lot ahead. There is also the battle for position number 9 in Hypercar. But for now, let's have another look here with the two cars bump drafting, NASCAR style. So maybe an overtake doesn't happen. Can say the same about here, because as you can see on the backyard, there is something happening. There's a free wide situation. Oh, there's also a lockup from one of the Cadillacs, and that's that's extremely close for Jonas Vanner, who overtook Robin Deschamps just prior to the Daytona chicane. I think that's that's a Michelin chicane, and somehow made the overtake on Deschamps as Hoyer and Bischoff now at the last place in the standings in Hypercar class. Although this is not over, this is far from over. There's another possible overtake for the Falcon Sim Racing team, although not completely clean. And now that's Vanner giving help to his teammate Hoyer in the slipstream, and Bischoff bump draft with a Cadillac, but that's free wide once again in the Hypercar class. But there's a Nitro concept on the outside that makes it into 10th place. On the outside of Indianapolis it is difficult, but it is possible. And there's Bischoff ahead. Bischoff is now in 10th place. And no, never mind. Actually, there was more grip on the outside there. And Mickey Hoyer was able to commit to the defensive action and managed to remain in 10th. And not only that, but Robin Deschamps able to make back 11th place, so Bischoff will go back to 12th. In GT3, there's a battle for position number 3 as Mark Tidruk is for now ahead of Joseph Kiffel. The situation didn't change here, but now it did. And the change happened. So Mark Tidruk on the inside of Indianapolis, but apparently it is slightly easier to make it on the outside of Indianapolis, and the Porsche is ahead. Oh, there's contact. Oh, there's actually more than a contact, and the Lexus has been thrown into the gravel, and that's a loss of 1, 2, 3 places for Sidoruk, although there is a lunge on his teammate in the other Fisher Racing. That's a BMW1 as a Lexus in lime accents couldn't overtake Fuchs. Meanwhile, Kitzel actually on the offensive against Kiffel. Although the Porsche defending as hard as possible against Kitzel, nothing really happens. Maybe, at least for now, as also Kobe-chan on the inside. That's for second place in Hypercar. And Kobe-chan manages to... Oh, there is actually contact in the S's. And Chan goes in second place in the Valkyrie, although slightly wide out of the assets. But Kilohead loses third place. And Arda Erkan will probably become quite aggressive on his teammate. Possibly Erkan asking to be moved ahead of Gearhead. And will that happen? And the answer is... I think yes. And the answer is yes. And Arda Erkan will jump his teammate. That's for third place. Meanwhile behind you can see Vanner ahead of Cedar. And now Hoya overtakes the racing Cadillac slightly sideways in the Le Mans chicane, in the Daytona chicane. And that's Hoya in 10th place. With Dishant dropping into 11th. Maybe even 12th, as Bischoff is very close to them. But Hoya isn't done yet. There could be an overtake for Hoya on Cedar. The aggressiveness is clear. Oh, he really goes a bit too deep, ruining his teammates' line too. And that's actually Cedar overtaking Vanner after a mistake from Hoya, who himself is getting overtaken by Robin Dishant. This is incredible racing so far. 3 wide. Just the end of the straight. And that is Robin Dishant ahead of Mickey Hoyer. No, never mind. It's actually Mirko Bischoff ahead of Lucas Cedar, who is now at the tail end of the grid. Still side by side between the two. With Bischoff still trying to get ahead of his rival. And in the meantime, there is still the battle between the two. Mickey Hoyer and Robin Dishant, with Dishant on the outside, and same applies to Cedar, who managed to get a takedown on Bischoff for roughly 0.5 of a second after Bischoff came back ahead. Meanwhile here, Kitzel actually overtook for third place Josef Küffel, and the Porsche driver in the Iron Dames color can't hold the defensive position anymore, and that's position number 4 for Küffel. Sidoruk is just behind, and it could become a slight problem for the Porsche driver. The only Porsche in the top 10, surrounded by Lexuses. Lexi. Anyway, Joseph Küffel still on the outside, but high defensive action for Clement Kittel, nearly throwing Küffel into the gravel to maybe help a bit more. Sidoruk behind in 5th. The Hypercar situation still up for grabs with Dishant on the outside, and that's Mickey Hoyer. Oh, both made contact, cut the chicane a tiny bit, but that's Dishant that remains ahead of Hoyer. I can't really say about the legality of the action, but I can say that Bischoff is very close to making an overtake, and the same applies to the other Fischer Racing car, and it's a free wide into the main straight. Both cars, both Cedar and Hoyer in a free wide situation, and that's a magnificent overtake for Cedar, going ahead of the free, and it's still free wide outside under the Donald Bridge, and now Bischoff is in 10th with Cedar just defending for 9th place. The Fischer Racing Cadillac, and now Hoyer is at the very tail end of the grid. In class, at least. It's really hectic racing. Still not over here, as you can see, with the Cadillac going on the left side. And that's Bischoff going from 12th to 10th to 9th in about a minute time. And just prior to the Daytona chicane, that was a bit of a door slammed ahead. Meanwhile, there is also a change in position, free wide once again. This time it is outside the Daytona chicane, and it is Moritz Zurich, Jonas Vanner, and Alex C. And Moritz Zurich, Jonas Vanner, and Daniel Goschalk. Apologies. No, that was correct. Okay, no, it is Ulrich Vanner and Siebel. With Siebel in 8th place, and that's Ulrich maybe thinking about a lunge into the inside bump. Bumper racing between Ulrich and Siebel, with Siebel here in 8th place, trying to search for an aperture to get ahead of the Fisher Racing Cadillac, but nothing can be made here, and that's still Alex Sibel behind the purple Cadillac, but who knows about what happens here. Meanwhile ahead, there was actually a mistake. Oh, that's actually BMW into the gravel. That is Sven Gillhead. Sven Gillhead into the gravel, that is now 5th place for one of the Falcon cars, and slightly in the backyard. It is still a fierce fight between Ulrich and Sibel, with the Falcon BMW that is thinking about something. Oh, something happened here. Oh, that was Manin Bessier trying a move on Nazgidashvili. So this fight is still on. Apologies if I can't really follow everything that is happening, but I'm really finding a difficult time to put everything on screen at the same time, as behind Joseph Kuffel also loses the position on on Mark Sidurk, with a Porsche that can't really hold place. It's a very rapid downfall for Kuffel. He was starting in a very nice position, 3rd, then he went into 2nd for a brief moment, then back in 3rd, then 4th, then 5th. Battle for the lead. It's quite different with a scooter that had a beautiful start. We were following the hypercar class, so that wasn't being followed. But then Battle for the lead was on screen, and for a good time it was a bit unpredictable who would have been ahead of the other. But Naskin for now stays ahead of the Frenchman, with Marine Bessier still in 2nd. But never say never. It's quite clear that something may change, and something is changing behind, with Joseph Kuffel going back into 4th. Van is on soft. Okay, interesting. Van is on soft tires, so the car in 6th may have some struggles in upcoming minutes. As Bessier is trying to make it ahead. Oh, not getting really into the inside it goes, and that is Martin Bessier for now into the lead, but can't say that this is a definitive situation, because as you can see, contact between two. Oh, that's a bit more than a contact. That was not video nearly throwing the Lexus into the wall outside of Virage Dranage and into the Porsche curves. Nasgidovich stays on the inside, and the Lexus on the outside with a better line, and that's the overtake done for the Lexus. For 1st place. The GT cars are, I think, all on wet tires. Can I check? Please tell me I can. It would be phenomenal. I don't think I can, but I will try. Because I know there is a way to see the tire compound, which is this one here. And the answer is probably not. Yep, that's not really helping. It's completely useless. Well, not in hypercar. In hypercar it is not useless. It's wet tires for all but Vanna, as Swain just said, and also Bischoff. They are both on soft tires. So Bischoff, and matter of fact, I think the dry tires are starting to show pace, which is important in the tactics of the race. Remember, 2 hours long race, 20 minutes have already passed. Behind, Mickey Hoyer back into 12th. Romy Dishan on the outside of Indianapolis, and that is the overtake done for Dishan. And never mind what I said, because that's Mickey Hoyer back into. Oh, there is contact and possibly rear end damage for Hoyer, that went defensive a bit too late in my opinion. A bit of a reactive move, and again going on? Oh, that's possibly suspension damage. That's the car going a bit slow. I wonder if it was just the rear slipping off, or if it's something more. Meanwhile, here, as I said, forget that it is a yellow badge. I think all of them are on wet tires. At least looking at the shoulder of, and also from the movement, because everyone is going on the wet patch. So yeah, everyone should theoretically be on wet tires. Now this has been a beautiful race. Maybe just now coming down a bit, and probably not, because that's Bischoff. Last lap it was a 3:46.6 with a best lap of 3:46.2. But the important thing is that Ulrich last lap was a 47.9. So clearly the soft tires are starting to show pace. And that's a white tire. Also in struggle. So looking at the shoulder, I can see the blue from the hypercar, and that's the white as Naskevich goes back into the lead. On the outside, probably is very much momentarily for Naskevich, as you can see. That's for the lead. I know there is the overtake between Gottschalk and Erkan, but that's for the lead as Bessier is back on the lead in the GT3 category. Although there is a possible attempt there for Naskevich, but Bessier remains ahead. In the meantime, there was an overtake between Erkan and Gottschalk, and it's still not over. As you can see here, Erkan is ahead of Gottschalk. We have Erkan in the Falcon colors. The other Aston Martin is struggling a bit. As Naskevich is back in front of Marine Bessier, but it was just for literally 2 seconds. But in all of this fighting, there is a certain car coming by, and that is Kitzel, that could jump in first in all of these. Well, bagarre. It's a bit of an Italian way to say it, but it is argument for position, let's say, just to undermine the situation a bit in an ironic manner. And Joseph Kuffel very much on the balcony, because the Porsche clearly shows pace. Maybe a bit behind on schedule, but pace is there. As there was an overtake in hypercar, and that is a switching position between teammates Moritz Ulrich and Robin Deschamps, with Ulrich staying ahead of the other purple Fischer Racing Cadillac, though that was a bit of a wide line for Ulrich. Ah, but that was Cedar. Sorry, it was a Cedar ahead. From Marine Bessier finally has some gap to the car behind, and Naskevich still in second here for the Fischer Racing Mustang in second. It's starting in fourth, and that's very wide for Naskevich, way too wide and nearly into the wall. And this could actually be a great opportunity for Clement Kitzel and Joseph Kuffel, both searching for a way to get a higher place. In the meantime, there were 3 DNFs. It was David Rancagno, Jonas Schwartz, and Julian Winkup, with a pit stop for Niklas Suben, who was starting the very top spot in the race, but unfortunately went into the pits. Missed the reason for that, and Lamborghini is now 15th, with a lot of ground to make up. And I'm not even sure that something more than 15th is possible. This pit stop was 57 seconds long, and now the car is on wet tires. So behind, that's Daniel Goshalk and Kobe Chan. The battle for second. No, apologies, that's Daniel Goshalk and Arda Erkan. With Aston Martin thinking about something. Maybe cooling the tires. And Erkan was starting in first, now in third place. In terms of virtual energy, seems like everyone is on the same page. It doesn't seem like someone is on a different chapter. It's here for position number 3 into the podium. Erkan still in the battle, but this time he has to suffer the consequence of the fact that he's ahead of the Aston. But it doesn't happen. An overtake doesn't happen, and Goshalk remains in 4th place in the middle of the two Falcon BMWs. With the last lap that unfortunately is not being shown for anybody. Okay, no, for Erkan is being shown 47.4 at the line, and for his teammates Sven Gilhead it was a 46.3. So a second being cut with the rain that comes and goes. And Subban is in the middle of the hypercar pack. Again, I apologize if I didn't show you what happened to Niklas Subban. There was a lot to cover in brief time, and I admit I didn't see it at first. There was a massive drop for one of the main protagonists of the race. Can't even show a replay of what happened, because it was probably more than 5 minutes ago. Very likely. So here it is. Last lap it was I have no idea, but for the video it was also no show. Apparently it's complicated to get a lap here in the circuit de Sarre. 95% of the time the lap is not a valid one. 16.4 for Kinsel. Please tell me that. Okay, 16.4 even here. No, there was a change in placement. Lamprecht ahead of Fanestick. Such a Lamprecht starting in the 16th place and now in 9th. Up 7 places since the very start of the race. So now things have calmed down a bit. And show also some other names other than Hypercar, the battle for first. So pretty slow lap for Fenestick. Wonder if there is an issue for them, because 7 times have been lost basically instantly. So Marin Messier is still here battling for first place. And the Mustang can't really find an aperture. Window remains closed. As the question is for how long is that the case? So now that's the Mustang going on the right. The big engine screaming, and that's a switch. A very short switch in the lead. This is going to go on for a lot of time, very likely. There is still 90 minutes to go. For these drivers. It's a long way till the end. And moreover, the consumption is slightly different from the usual as Marine Bessier goes back into second. The consumption rates are realistic in both tires and the fuel, by the way. And so this means that they are in 1x. Both. The only thing that changed is the progression of time, because it's on 2x. It is multiplied by 2. So the race started at still here switch between Bessier and Asghirashvili, really putting the barrier ahead of Bessier, although Bessier goes back, enter inside the inter-Porsche curves. This time nothing happens. The Mustang remaining in its own place and keeping the fight alive. Ooh, that was a bit wide, and now it could become a two-way fight for second place between two Lexus. And it will be very good for Asghirashvili, not so much for Bessier on their own soil. Cross the line, and that was an unknown lap for Bessier, the best one being set at a 4:14.4. As I was saying, the race was started at 7 o'clock in game, so it will end at 11 o'clock in game. As the Cedar also is ahead of Bischoff, who is also behind. What's happened here? Well, Bischoff just lost a lot of time. Possibly a mistake on Bischoff's hand. But back on the lead here in GT class, because this is a four-way fight for the first place. There's also a battle for the lead in Hypercar. Just not there yet, but here there is a move, and that is for second place, not for first anymore. Kittel, maybe ahead of Bessier, but for now only alongside. Although here also behind, you can see here, and that is for the lead in Hypercar. That's Eric Gambal trying to defend. He can't do it for now, and this is going to be extremely important. No changes here in GT class. This is both battles on screen at the same time, but both of them for now remain in single file. So for the best, as this is going to be extremely difficult for me because I'm unable to choose. But no, the Astor remains behind. That was a clear intention, but the act never happened. So for now, Chan remains behind Gambal for the season finale. 3 attempts between the two. Meanwhile, between Kittel and Bessier, it is about 16 centimeters. But yet again, it doesn't seem to be... Okay, never mind. He goes on the outside. That's Kittel on the outside. There isn't space available. And also now there is a certain Aston Martin, that's Daniel Gottschalk, in the middle of the way. And battling also with Arda Erkan. Arda Erkan, who dropped behind Gottschalk, and alongside them there is the battle here between Vanner and Gearhead. Without a move. Oh, that's a lunge into the inside for Marine Bessier, that becomes now first, although slightly on the gravel, with Asghirashvili that had a chance to go on an answer. the response is a bit faint and doesn't really have oh, into the wall. Oh, and Akari sideways, and that is Clemens Nitzel sideways outside of the racing line. So no problem for Sidoruk to make the pass, but that was outside of on the exit of Virage Danage. Azarda Erkan. Oh, that's another big change. Azarda Erkan into the pits. I suspect a disconnection because I didn't see a car going sideways or something like that. So Erkan also dropping out of the race. Major race implication there. As this is now a freeway fight for first with a huge lunge for Bessier that actually worked out. And Clemens Kitzel effectively eliminating himself out of the battle. Meanwhile here, nothing changed. It was just the graphics going rogue for a moment. And Goshal remains in third. That's because his rival is not in the race anymore, Arda Erkan. It's not declared as a DNF, so yeah, I suspect it is a disconnection for Erkan. Very unfortunate there. Tremendous situation for one of the contenders in the podium, maybe even the win. Arda Erkan, remember, he was starting in first place. For now in GT, the battle all of a sudden disappeared completely. And Joseph Kiffel is now a second behind Vili, who himself is a second behind Bessier. So let's change our point of view and now let's have a look at the battle for first, but this time in Hypercar, because Gambal and Chan are both one after the other. Harry Gambal 47.5 in the last lap, Kobe Chan 47.3. Just 2/10 the difference between the two cars. And this is going to be interesting, especially towards the pit stop phase, as Kitzel is still trying to search for an answer. But let's stay here. Oh, okay, no, never mind. There is a chicane in the middle. So you can just see here that nothing changed. Very useful. Meanwhile here, something changed. Gambal slightly on the grass on the outside. And Kobe Chan now alongside Gambal, but for the first time in a while, there could be the change in Hypercar, as also Dishant and Bishop are changing places. And that is Chan ahead of Gambal for first place in Hypercar. With Gambal that for the first time in about 35 minutes dropped out of first place. But I don't think this is going to be definitive. Matter of fact, there's already an attack and bound, and that is on outside, and that happens. That is Gambal back in first. Oh, there's a contact between two. Gravel being picked up for Gambal, and Chan is back in first on the outside on Visage Dranage. And the Valkyrie remains ahead of Gambal with the Cadillac that is possibly looking for options, because the overtake has to happen, and the sooner the better, even because the pit lane is quite tight on the outside. Back at it, and that is Gambal back into the first place in Hypercar class, into the Porsche curves. It is going to be the Valkyrie behind Gambal, although this is far from over, as the Nitro concept is ahead of the Visceral Esports. Two teams that had various fights in ACC, now in LMU. Nothing really changed. Maybe the cars, maybe the drivers, but the teams are always the same, and there is a reason for that. It's not the fact that you get expertise and speed in only one game. If you are a top team, you have to be the top team in everything, and this proves it. As Visceral Esports, Kobe Chan is tackling and keeping Harry Gamble on his toes for this whole time. And Goshak is not really that far away after Chance... apologies. After Erkan's disappearance, he stopped looking in the mirrors, started looking ahead, and the gap slowly but steadily getting lower and lower. 48.1 for Gumball, 48.3 for Chan, 45.9 for Goshak. So yeah, definitely. Oh, that's Nashida really off. Another car is off. Another car is into the pits. And there's another retirement. There's another possibly disconnection, not even retirement. And this opens up the battle for the championship in GT class. Meanwhile here... Oh no, never mind. It was 0.0 for a brief moment. I thought it was 0.0. So Nasir really 2 dropping like a stone. But even for him, it's same situation as Erkan. Both of them in the pits, but it's not a DNF. And I suspect it's a DSC, so disconnection. So definitely disaster in both classes. As two important names, two very important names, both disappeared from the race. Can't say if it was a disconnection or something else, but if it was something else, there would have been written DNF alongside the name, or at least in the pits. Meanwhile, in this case, it is just in the pits, without even mentioning they are in the pits. So my first thought is towards a disconnection for them both. I effectively never experienced a disconnection in the game yet. In ACC, it is a bit easier to recognize it, mainly because the car simply goes into the horizon for a minute or so you can see it. Mickey Hoyer went into the pits and changed tires. Look at them, soft tires for Mickey Hoyer. 1 minute 18 seconds, so it was a full service because it's about 5 seconds per tire and a minute for full tank. It wasn't an entire minute because there was still some fuel in the tank. And also with 2 hours long race, if you've been watching WEC, this is not really, or IMSA, this is not really a news. 2 hours, likely too much for these cars. You know, there was an overtake there between Hogue and Lamprecht, with Tobias Hogue overtaking the other Aston Martin. That's 8th place for Tobias Hogue, ahead of Sancha Lamprecht for 8th place. It's a bit of a quick one, this one here. As in 3rd place, Jonas Vanna, 344.7 in the last lap. Daniel Goshak, 346.5. So I suspect a mistake happened, and because the gap to Chan is now 4.5 seconds. So clearly something happened. Oh wait, it is 4.3. Okay, no, around 4.3 anyway. Jonas Vanna is really putting down the hammer. And the soft tires are really putting the weight on their back. Soft tires are clearly the answer. Bischoff has been quite slow in comparison. Maybe not so keen with the stop or something like that. But that's the overtake for 3rd place. Goshak drops into 4th. Jonas Vanner as 3rd place for the Falcon Sim Racing team. And now Goshak is back in a Falcon sandwich in the middle of it. But this time it is not Arda Erkan, but it is Gilohead and Vanner around That's a Martin driver, although this is not over yet, as we are now approaching Michelin chicane to get the end of the Mulsanne. But I think nothing will change. And into the Mulsanne corner. That's not Mulsanne corner, sorry. At the end of the Mulsanne straight as Lamprecht goes into the pits. I think that's the first proper pit. Oh, that's unfortunate. Lamprecht just went out of bounds a tiny bit, and that's a couple of seconds being lost. Let's see, Shepkov also going into the pits. Will he stop on the correct marker? And the answer is not really. Slightly behind on those markers. As I was saying, still here the battle for first goes on. And the two pit stops that we just witnessed, I think they are the first proper pit stops. Unfortunately, I'm still very much questioning. Wait, no. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because if Huben pitted at the correct lap, which apparently it is the third. Oh wait, I know what's happening here. It was a mistake. I think Huben went in the pits 3 laps after the start, technically 2, so he could stay in clean air with soft tires. This would be massive in terms of strategy. This would be massive.